Hey, good day, everybody. Etienne Marceau, Tooth the Sports Inquirer, and welcome to another edition of the Fighting Peaches. We're previewing tomorrow's home contest for Georgia State football as the Panthers welcome the Jaguars from South Alabama on a short week, Thursday night football on ESPN. So this is very condensed episodes of that you're going to see of the Fighting Peaches with a quick turnaround time, but very excited that I actually would, Lord willing, be in attendance for the contest and actually have some post-match commentary and good notes from the Georgia State or Center Park Stadium. So very excited about that. But before we get there, we're going to hear from head coach Dell McGee, who spoke with us in the media previewing the contest and about many other things in the world of college athletics. And even before we get to Dell, I have to get my information out there. As always, to follow everything that we do, go to the mothership to sportsinquirer.net. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter/X, Instagram, and Facebook. And finally, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our audio and video hosts, which include YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. As I mentioned, I was able to head down to the Georgia State facility and speak with Coach McGee about all things Georgia State on and off of the field at this juncture of the season. Enjoy.
Us to prepare for South Alabama. Very pleased to have him back here on a short week. It could have been worse. We could have been on the road back to back. So short turnaround for our guys. We really are banged up in a couple of spots. So we still got some guys that'll be filling in to perform in this game. Big mental prep, a lot of mental prep, not as much physical prep due to the shortness of the week and where we are status-wise with our health. South Alabama has a very good football team, even though their record may not indicate it just like us. They got some good players. They got good receivers, three good running backs. I think their O-line's very comparable to all the lines in our league. They do a good job of running the football. They're a running football team. Quarterback can run, beat you with his legs. They're not throwing as much, but they still have wrinkles in their offense. If you don't have correct eye discipline, they can cause a lot of issues. Then defensively, very multiple. I've been knowing the DC. DC was with me at Georgia, so he knows what he's doing. He does a good job with their defense, and they got a really good D-line front seven. Got two really good corners that are very good in coverage, and they matched up the one corner. I think his name is Nehemiah to Arkansas State's #1 receiver, and he did an outstanding job on him and kind of limited his explosive plays and big play capability that he has. So definitely a tough matchup in a short week. But I feel like our guys are preparing mentally the right way. We got to come out with a lot of energy, enthusiasm on a nationally televised game and put our best product on the field.
Kind of going back to last week, what ultimately was the deciding factor in rolling with Cameran at quarterback and sticking with him throughout the game?
Some of the things he's kind of put behind him, that's behind him now, where he doesn't have those other off the field things that he was dealing with, and he prepared the right way last week and wanted us to make that change.
You mentioned a short week multiple times. Obviously, there's the physical and mental deals with that, but is it kind of beneficial in a way too? Just get right back on the field, not having to dwell on just what happened at Georgia Southern, just because you really can't dwell on that. You got to focus, turn that clock around really quickly.
You always got to turn the clock around and move on to the next game, but it's just if South Alabama would have played the same day, it'd be a little bit different. I mean, they played on Tuesday, and they just got an extra time to prepare and recover, rest, and all those different things. So that makes it tougher. That's what I mean by the turnaround. The turnaround's not an equal turnaround, but it is what it is.
And back on the last game as well, there are a couple times where the bigger plays Georgia Southern got were on some blitzes where they just had like the right call in and found space in the field. Is there something where are you worried about tendencies you're showing on film or not disguising blitzes as well, or do you think there's anything there that's they a couple times had to look like the perfect play called out?
They're good coaches. There was some miscues on our part, just lack of execution, and they had a good play call against a particular defense, really just the one back in the flat. That was a good play call. That was a good executed play, and they were able to block Josiah on that play, which prevented him from covering the back, and they threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, so that was a good call by them.
And then Lane has the fumble, Jartavius the face mask. And those are young guys. You're gonna have some of those things crop up, but how do you turn those into teaching moments to grow from players like that? They're young guys.
Yeah, we've had a lot of teaching moments this year, and that's the thing, you want to kind of go through teaching moments and still win the football game, and that hadn't been the case for us. But we are a young team in a sense. We don't have many seniors, having a lot of guys to have to step in and play, and they're doing a good job. But it's all the little things, details that ultimately fall back on me, and we emphasize all the basics of not beating ourselves, holding on to the football in traffic, and we do drills for all these different things. The false start, we had crowd noise all week last week, every period, even on Friday. So just we got to focus on the details, lock in on our assignments, and ultimately we got to execute in a hostile environment. Same thing, we warned them that once we get to their field house end, that end was louder. That's just the experience of being there and knowing that end was going to be the louder end of the field, and that's where we had our two false starts.
So Kobe Owens, he's developed and gotten more playing time and getting more acclimated. What about his development with the team? He had I think 5-6 tackles against Georgia Southern. What about just his growth with the team?
Yeah, he's getting better. He's been improving every week, and same thing due to injury to Demaine Wilson, and really proud of his effort and how they're acclimating and getting better, and just understanding everything. And the thing is, every game plan has a different life. Every team brings in a different plan of attack, so all those different adjustments have to get readjusted to what you're going to see in the new week. And being a short week, we really got to be dialed in on some of the clues to the test, and really recognize things before it happens to play our best game.
They weren't full playing the regular snaps they had the whole season, but you did get the 3 defensive linemen back last week, Henry, Ian, and Jartavius. I guess good to have those guys back in any capacity, and hoping to have them progress more and more week by week.
Yeah, they'll be a lot better this week. They're better this week than they were last week, so hopefully that'll pick up with their snaps and play. So I can say that they'll be closer to playing winning football than they were last week. So that's a plus for us.
Just a general question, not just you specifically, but just a general state of coaching. We've seen around the country coaches being released or relieving their duties in the middle of the season, not even before we get to November. Just among your coaching circle, among your fellow coaches, what do you think just the state of just the relationship between athletic departments and coaches? And I know you can hire to be fired, but the timetable seems to be a lot earlier than it's ever been.
I think you can look at it in a lot of different facets. I think every level of the firings, the resources are different. And when you're talking about bigger programs, they have everything you can imagine that's provided for the players. They have maximum revenue sharing. They were able to buy and pick the players that they truly wanted, and I think it's a trickle-down effect to the smaller schools. I mean, the smaller schools don't have that revenue that those schools have, and the resources aren't necessarily the same in the smaller schools. So I think it's a huge difference in some of the expectations. Our expectation is to win here. Unfortunately, we hadn't been successful the way we want to be, and we got to really execute at a higher level, coach at a higher level, just do things that we do every day in practice and take them to the game. And I thought we made a move in the right step last week, and with Cameran Brown, and knowing that he could provide things with his legs and get out of trouble and get out of harm's way. And moving forward, that's what you kind of got to have, guys that can have mobility to be that next guy in case that guy goes down. So a lot of that has to do with the recruiting piece and what you're able to acquire through the money that you have to get players. And, a lot of, I guess, outside people don't understand that part of it, what's available. Heck, we recruited Trinidad Chambliss and thought we would have a shot at him. Didn't turn out that way because of money, of course. And he wanted to, it was a situation where it wasn't necessarily going to be a case where he knew he was going to be the starter either. So he kind of betted on himself and took more money. And I mean, that's just one name. I don't mean to bring that name up. There's plenty of other guys I can name at a lot of different positions where money was better at other places. So you kind of got your pot, and you got to kind of get what you can get with the pot that I have. But I don't know if that answers your question. I just think there's different levels to why administrators do whatever they're doing, the duration that a coach is there. I don't know about all the ins and outs and why, and I'm just giving you my opinion of certain things, and so right, wrong, or indifferent, just an opinion.
And just last thing for me, kind of in connection to that, do you have these conversations with Charlie, the administration, the presidents, the board at Georgia State, just about this landscape of I'm just beyond finances, but that's a big part of it. How
Yes.
often do you have these talks with them? Do you just kind of wait till the end of the year, or is it just kind of continual conversation about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's conversations. It's a lot of I guess a lot of layers to that financial piece and what you can get. Being where we are is a little bit different. I mean, if you just, I guess only a couple of Sun Belt schools that I have not been to is ULM and Lafayette. I heard Lafayette's nice. So if you just do a deep dive into what schools have from a resource tradition, which we're still young, 16 years is not a lot of time. And that's the thing I think some people kind of lose sight of. I don't think our administration loses sight of that. I think they understand the intricacies and what's kind of needed and kind of next steps. But, it takes more than just, the administration. It takes the university and it also takes us winning games. It has a lot of layers to it that goes into how do we improve financially to provide for players, not only through rev share, but just recovery, nutrition. I mean, everything that goes into a complete student athlete, mental health, which we have all those things, but everything, it can be a lot. It can be improved upon, and those are things that we just got to kind of work through and keep our head down and understand this is this new age of football, new wave. I mean, it changed in the last 2 years. I mean, now we only have one transfer portal, so that's going to be another all right, how do you retain this player? You got to get players now, so it's going to be a different hurdle where you don't have to win those. So the strategy is going to change from that. I mean, do you take less high school kids? Do you stick with taking the high school kids? It really just depends on how, in my opinion, how you're trying to level up your team. For us, it'll be awesome if we can retain most of our guys because we are young. But at the same token, we have a lot of young guys that are playing, and in the wave of some guys play and another school think they can add value and they're going to be able to pay them more money. So it's just a difficult process, and that's probably the hardest part, having to deal with the new players and retaining the players. To me, will be more important moving forward into next year. So the more players we can retain, I feel really, really confident on where we can go as a program.
With the players, I mean, obviously, if guys are on the field putting out tape, that's always going to be a risk of maybe someone's going to come calling. But for guys that are younger, maybe playing a little but not playing a ton, or guys that are even just fully redshirting or whatever, how do you have those conversations of we still have this plan for you, and it might be a risk for you to go in the portal because you might not go where you think you're going to. Like, how do you balance that without making it sound like you don't still believe in them?
Oh yeah, nah. I mean, the kids, we'll have meetings, and it's not time to have those talks right now. Um, that'll be later in the process, and when we have our exit meetings. But it's it's a two-way street. I mean, kids have agents. I mean, agents are telling them, I know this school wants you. I can get you here. I can get you this amount of money. So money's gonna talk at the end of the day in a lot of circumstances. Now, there's great examples of guys that were here that left and went other places that aren't producing. I mean, I'm not gonna say names, but you can look at the guys that are playing and who's not playing, and it's not very many that's producing at a high level. I do know of one that's playing really well. Not saying other guys aren't playing, but they're not playing the snaps that they were playing when they were here. So, the kids and parents have to understand that, and they gotta do what's best for them at the end of the day. And I want guys that want to be here too. So, so it's always a two-way street, and we gotta have reality at the same time. Who we need to try to keep, and what's the realistic expectations of a kid moving on, and what are their draft stock. For instance, Ted Hurst. I mean, he decided to stay for good reason. I mean, we've had every NFL scout in America here ×2 because of him. So he's added exposure to our other kids, but he stayed for a reason. I'm certain that he's gonna have a bright future and he's gonna get drafted. And by staying, that allowed that to happen. If he'd have went to some other suitors, who knows what would have happened. And you can kind of see the previous guys that left and went other places that went down in their production at that position and other positions. And like I said, the guys that went to portal from our team last year, I mean, you can go Google it, PFF it, you'll see the production that they're not having or having, and it's obvious. But so, are you gonna go somewhere for a couple $1,000s and you feel like that's life changing? It may be to some families and some players. So it's really dependent on the kid, and like I said, I want guys that want to be here.
All right, and that was Dell McGee from Georgia State football head coach discussing not only the upcoming matchup against South Alabama, and just touching on that side of things. Both teams enter with only one win, and Georgia State still looking for its first conference win and trying to preserve its slim chances of bowl eligibility with a victory. That's really important of what they're trying to do. So you heard Cameran Brown started the entire game or played the entire game at quarterback for the Panthers against Georgia Southern. Maybe that's just they've been struggling all year to find an established quarterback. And between him and Finley and even Christian Veillere, who played earlier in the season, maybe with Cameron Brown finally getting in there, playing a full contest, he can establish himself as the starter and play a full contest, see what happens against South Alabama. It was unexpected to get Coach McGee to be so open about everything else going on, not only in college football, but with the Georgia State program. I was going to ask the question just about we've seen all the firings at programs like Penn State and Florida, Penn State, Florida, and just many others, Oklahoma State. I just name a few, and as Colorado State, I can go down the list of all of these in-season firings of college coaches, UCLA, just all of them that have been going on, and what his perspective was, because he has an extremely long network of, his fellow coaches, and he really delved into just the process of the athletic departments and the administrations, and really how the football coach has to navigate all of that. So I was really appreciative of him breaking that down from his perspective, and I hope you all are able to appreciate hearing from him on that as well. We'll have to really maybe have a full discussion or topic dedicated just to what he said there, and play that clip and really break it down. Look forward to possibly trying to do that sooner rather than later, at least after the South Alabama game, because that literally is tomorrow by the time you listen or watch this. But thank you for listening and watching this latest edition of Fighting Peaches. As always, head to the mothership, thesportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter/X, Instagram, and Facebook. And finally, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our audio and video hosts, which include YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe, y'all.